You are not here by accident. Right now, in this exact moment, something inside you recognized a signal, a frequency, a calling that your conscious mind may not yet fully understand. But your cells do. Your DNA does. The ancient intelligence woven into the very fabric of your biology does. Most people walk through life believing that the body is simply a machine, a collection of organs, bones, and blood, something that breaks down over time, something that needs to be managed, medicated, and eventually surrendered to decay. But what if that belief, the deeply conditioned, widely accepted belief, is the single greatest lie ever told to the human race? What if your body is not a machine at all, but a living temple of transformation? A quantum instrument so sophisticated, so divinely engineered, that even the most advanced science of our time is only beginning to scratch the surface of what it can do. There is a hidden self-healing power within you, not a metaphor, not a spiritual fantasy, a real biological, measurable, activatable force that has been dormant inside you, waiting for the right knowledge, waiting for the right moment, waiting for you to remember what you truly are. And today, right now, we begin that remembering. Stay with me, because what you are about to discover will not simply change how you think about your body. It will change how you live. It may, in ways you cannot yet imagine, change everything. Let us begin at the beginning, not the beginning that your textbooks taught you, but the real beginning. For thousands of years, long before the age of pharmaceutical laboratories and surgical theaters, there existed a tradition. A science so ancient and so precise that it was encoded not in books but in stone temples, in sacred geometry, and the oral transmissions of initiates who understood something that modern civilization has nearly forgotten entirely. That tradition was called alchemy. Now, most people hear the word alchemy and they think of medieval scholars trying to turn lead into gold, and yes, that metaphor existed, but the true alchemists, the ones who carried the deepest knowledge, were not working with metals. They were working with the human body. The original alchemical texts, many of them traced to the hermetic traditions of ancient Egypt, and later to the schools of Paracelsus and the great Arabian mystic physicians, spoke of something they called the philosopher's stone, not as a physical object but as a state of being, a condition of the human organism in which the body becomes capable of self-renewal, self-regeneration, and what they called the great work, the transmutation of suffering into vitality, of disease into wholeness, of aging into what they described as living gold. They knew what we are only now rediscovering. And what are we rediscovering? In the last 30 years, quantum biology has emerged as one of the most revolutionary fields in all of science. Researchers at Cambridge, at MIT, at the Max Planck Institute have confirmed something that would have been considered mystical nonsense just a generation ago, that biological processes operate at the quantum level. That your cells do not merely follow the mechanical laws of chemistry. They navigate probability fields. They communicate through biophotons, tiny particles of light emitted from your DNA. They respond to consciousness itself. Let that land. Your DNA communicates through light. Your cells respond to the state of your awareness. The boundary between mind and matter, between thought and biology, is not a wall. It is a membrane, and it is permeable. The Russian biophysicist Vladimir Poponin conducted a landmark experiment in the 1990s, now known as the DNA phantom effect. When DNA was placed in a vacuum chamber and then removed, the photons, the particles of light, in that chamber continued to behave as though the DNA was still present. The DNA had left a field, an energetic blueprint, a ghost of itself written in light. What does this tell us? It tells us that your body is not merely physical. It is a luminous structure, a field of information, and that field can be shaped, directed, and healed by knowledge, by intention, by what the ancients called the sacred breath of life, and what modern scientists are beginning to call coherent biological resonance. This is not poetry, this is physics, this is the foundation of what we call biological alchemy. And the ancient alchemists had a phrase for it. They called it solve et coagula, dissolve and reconstitute, break down what is false, rebuild what is true. And the laboratory in which this great work takes place is not a flask, not a furnace. It is you, your body, your breath, your living field of awareness. The question is not whether this power exists inside you. The question is, do you know how to activate it? We need to talk about time, not clock time, not calendar time, but what the ancient Greeks called kairos, the right time, the appointed moment, the turning point in which everything becomes possible. We are living inside such a moment right now. 2026 is not simply another year on the calendar. For those with eyes to see, for those who study the long cycles of consciousness, the cosmic rhythms that ancient civilizations tracked with extraordinary precision, this period represents something of immense significance. The Mayan long count calendar did not end in 2012. That was a misreading. What 2012 initiated was a transition period, a 13-year window of accelerating transformation that culminates precisely in the mid-2020s. The Vedic tradition calls this the threshold of a new Yuga cycle. The Hopi elders spoke of the emergence of a fifth world. The Sufi mystics wrote of an age in which the veil between the seen and the unseen would become thin enough that those who were prepared could step through it. 2026 is a year of what we might call the quantum leap. And here is what that means for your biology. Scientific research confirms that human consciousness itself is evolving. Neuroplasticity studies show that the human brain is restructuring faster than at any previous point in recorded history. Epigenetic science, the study of how environment and experience alter gene expression without changing the underlying DNA sequence, demonstrates that we are, at this very moment, in the midst of a biological reformation. Your genes are listening to the world around you, to the thoughts you think, to the food you consume, to the quality of your attention, to the state of your nervous system. And in this particular window of time, that sensitivity is amplified. The field is thinner, the signal is clearer. The doorway between your conditioned biological state and your full, awakened, regenerative potential has never been more accessible than it is right now. The ancient alchemists had a concept called the conjunction, the moment when opposing forces align in perfect balance to create something new. In the great work of biological alchemy, this is the moment we now inhabit collectively. The question is, will you step through the door? Because those who learn to activate their body's hidden self-healing power in this window of time will not simply experience physical improvement. They will participate in something larger. They will become, in a very real sense, pioneers of human evolution. You are not here by accident. You are here because something in you already knows this. And now it is time to remember how. We now enter the heart of the teaching. The path of biological alchemy is organized into 7 sacred keys. Each key corresponds to a specific biological system within your body. Each key also carries a deeper spiritual resonance, because in the alchemical tradition, the physical and the sacred are never truly separate. They are 2 faces of the same diamond. Work with all 7. Return to them. Let them deepen over time. These are not tricks or techniques. They are initiations. And like all initiations, they reveal more of themselves the more you bring yourself to them. The coherent heart. In the alchemical tradition, the heart was not merely a pump. It was the seat of the soul, the point of convergence between heaven and earth within the human body. And modern science, specifically the research coming out of the HeartMath Institute in California, has confirmed something extraordinary. The heart generates an electromagnetic field approximately 60 times stronger in amplitude than the field produced by the brain. This field can be measured several feet outside the body. It influences every cell in your system. It even entrains with the electromagnetic fields of people around you. Your heart is broadcasting every single moment. The question is, what is it broadcasting? When you're in a state of fear, anxiety, or chronic stress, the heart's electromagnetic output becomes what scientists call incoherent, chaotic, fragmented, disrupted. And in that incoherent state, your immune system weakens. Your hormonal system becomes dysregulated. Your cells shift from a state of growth into a state of protection. Healing stops when you deliberately enter a state of what HeartMath researchers call heart coherence, a state of genuine, sustained positive emotion, particularly appreciation, compassion, or love. The heart's electromagnetic field becomes coherent, organized, powerful, and in that coherent state, every system in your body begins to work more efficiently. Immune markers improve. Cortisol drops. DHEA, the master regenerative hormone, rises. The alchemical term for this state was the sacred marriage, the union of the mind and the heart, the integration of thought and feeling into a single unified field of awareness. How do you practice this? Every morning and every evening, take 5 minutes and place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply out. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And as you breathe, deliberately call up a memory or an image that generates authentic gratitude or love within you. Not performed emotion. Real feeling. Let it fill your chest. Let it expand. Hold it for 5 full minutes. This is not visualization. This is bioelectric medicine. You are literally shifting the electromagnetic environment of every cell in your body. This is the first sacred key. Cultivate the coherent heart, the breath of transformation. Every ancient tradition, every single one, place the breath at the center of their healing and spiritual practice. The Sanskrit word prana, the Hebrew ruach, the Greek pneuma, the Chinese qi. All of these terms translate to something between breath, spirit, and life force. Not because ancient people were being poetic, because they understood through direct experience and refined observation that the breath is the primary interface between the physical body and the animating intelligence that sustains it. Biologically, this makes profound sense. Your autonomic nervous system, the system that governs your heart rate, your digestion, your immune response, your hormonal output, has 2 branches. The sympathetic branch, commonly called fight or flight, and the parasympathetic branch, commonly called rest and restore. These 2 branches are in constant dialogue, and the health of your entire organism depends on their balance. Here is what most people do not know. The breath is the only autonomic function you can consciously control. And through conscious control of the breath, you gain direct access to the entire autonomic nervous system. You gain the ability to shift your body from a state of chronic alarm, which is where most people in modern civilization spend the majority of their time, into a state of deep regeneration. The alchemists called this the mercurial breath. Mercury in their symbolic system was the messenger between worlds, the medium through which transformation occurred, and the breath is precisely that. It is the medium through which your conscious intention can speak directly to your biology. The practice here is called cyclic sighing. refined recently by neuroscientists at Stanford, and it is the fastest known method for activating the parasympathetic nervous system. You take 2 short inhales through the nose, the second inhale immediately following the first, before any exhale, and then 1 long extended exhale through the mouth. Repeat this pattern 5 to 10 times. When you do this, you activate the alveoli in your lungs, tiny air sacs that collapse under chronic stress, and you dramatically amplify the exhalation of carbon dioxide, which is the primary physiological trigger for nervous system relaxation. Within minutes, your cortisol levels drop, your heart rate variability improves, and your cells begin to shift back into the growth and regeneration state. This is the second sacred key: master the breath of transformation. The temple of light, biophotonic nourishment. Your DNA emits light. This is not metaphor. German biophysicist Fritz Albert Popp spent decades documenting what he called biophotons. Ultra-weak photon emissions produced by living cells, particularly from the DNA molecule itself. Every living cell in your body is a light-producing, light-receiving antenna. Your entire organism is, at the quantum level, a coherent field of biological light. The alchemists knew this. They spoke of the body of light, what in Egyptian traditions was called the Ka, in Tibetan Buddhism the rainbow body, in Hermeticism the luminous vehicle. They were not speaking symbolically. They were describing a biophysical reality, and one of the most powerful ways to nourish this luminous body, to increase the coherence and vitality of your biophotonic field, is through what you eat, not simply in terms of macronutrients or vitamins or conventional nutritional science, but in terms of the photonic density of your food. Foods grown in sunlight, particularly raw, living plant foods in their unprocessed state, carry a high level of stored biophotonic energy. When you consume these foods, that energy is transferred into your biological field. Popp's research demonstrated that the biophotonic emissions of food could be used as a precise measure of quality. Organic, naturally grown food emitted more coherent, sustained biophotonic light than commercially processed equivalents. The difference was measurable. It was real. The alchemical practice of what we call biophotonic nourishment is simple. Every day, make a conscious decision to consume at least 1 full portion of wild or naturally grown, unprocessed plant food. Not because you are following a diet, but because you are feeding your luminous body. You are literally feeding your DNA with light. Additionally, spend deliberate time in natural sunlight, not merely for vitamin D, though that is biologically essential, but because sunlight interacts with your biophotonic field. Morning light, particularly the full-spectrum light of the first hours of the day, helps synchronize your biological rhythms, what scientists call your circadian clock, which governs every aspect of your hormonal, immune, and regenerative function. You are a being of light. Feed yourself accordingly. This is the third sacred key. Embrace biophotonic nourishment. The epigenetic covenant. In 1953, Watson and Crick announced the discovery of the double helix structure of DNA. And for the next 50 years, the dominant story of biology was genetic determinism. The idea that your genes are your destiny, that the code you were born with determines your health, your disease risk, your vitality, your lifespan, that story has been shattered. The field of epigenetics, which literally means above the gene, has established beyond scientific dispute that your genes are not a fixed program. They are a dynamic library, and the librarian is your life, your thoughts, your emotions, your environment, your choices. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist whose work has become foundational to this understanding, demonstrated in his research at Stanford that the cell membrane, not the nucleus, not the DNA, is the true brain of the cell. and that cell membrane is exquisitely sensitive to signals from the environment. When those signals are signals of safety, love, and nourishment, the cell expresses genes associated with growth, healing, and regeneration. When those signals are signals of threat, fear, and toxicity, the cell expresses genes associated with protection, inflammation, and decline. You are not a victim of your genes. You are their author. The alchemists called this the art of the covenant, the sacred agreement between the alchemist and the prima materia, the raw material of transformation. You are the alchemist, your body is the prima materia, and the covenant you make with your own biology through your daily choices, your internal narrative, your emotional environment, determines what that raw material becomes. The practical key here is this. Begin to examine the dominant emotional environment of your daily life. Not occasional emotions, but the sustained background frequency of your inner world. If that background is one of chronic worry, resentment, or self-diminishment, your epigenome is listening. It is activating the genes of protection and breakdown. Begin to shift that background, deliberately, not through denial of difficulty, but through the cultivation of what the ancient Stoics called equanimity. A steady, grounded, and fundamentally trustful relationship with life itself. This is not toxic positivity, this is biological wisdom. The practice each evening, write down 3 specific things that your body did well today. Not things that happened to you, things your body did. It circulated your blood, it digested your food, it repaired micro-damage in your muscles, it filtered toxins through your liver, it fought off pathogens you never even knew were present. Begin to relate to your body as the intelligent, miraculous, living covenant it is, and watch what shifts. This is the 4th sacred key. Enter the epigenetic covenant. The alchemy of sleep. There is a reason that every mystical tradition placed enormous value on the state of sleep, not merely as rest, but as initiation, as communion, as the time when the ordinary self dissolves and the deeper intelligence of the organism takes over. Science now confirms what the mystics always knew. Sleep is not passive. It is the most active, productive, and regenerative state your body enters in the entire 24-hour cycle. During deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, a recently discovered network of channels that literally flushes toxic waste products from neural tissue. Metabolic debris that, if allowed to accumulate, contributes to neurodegenerative disease. This cleansing only occurs during sleep. There is no waking substitute. During the deeper stages of sleep, your pituitary gland releases human growth hormone in its highest daily concentrations, the primary biological agent of cellular repair and regeneration. Your immune system consolidates its memory. Your emotional experiences of the day are processed and integrated. Sleep is not downtime. Sleep is the great work of the body's own internal laboratory. The alchemical name for this process was the nigredo, the darkening, the dissolution, the necessary first stage of transformation. You must enter the dark to be remade in the light. The key to activating this process fully is what sleep scientists call sleep architecture. The quality and depth of your sleep cycles, not merely their duration. 2 things profoundly damage sleep architecture in modern life. Artificial blue light after sunset, which suppresses melatonin production and prevents the body from entering the deep regenerative stages, and cortisol dysregulation from chronic stress, which keeps the nervous system in a state of vigilance that prevents true descent into depth. 2 practices. First, after sunset, eliminate or dramatically reduce exposure to screens and artificial bright light. Use amber or candlelight. Let your nervous system receive the signal that it is safe to descend. Second, practice the following before sleep. Lie in complete stillness. Breathe slowly. and systematically move your awareness through your body from feet to crown, releasing any held tension, saying inwardly to each area, I release you. I trust the darkness. I surrender to the alchemy of night. This is the fifth sacred key. Honor the alchemy of sleep. The waters of renewal, hydration in the living field. Water is not simply H2O. This is one of the most radical and well-supported claims at the frontier of biophysics. Water is the medium through which all biological communication occurs. Every biochemical reaction in your body takes place in an aqueous environment, and the quality, structure, and energetic state of that water profoundly affects the speed, efficiency, and coherence of those reactions. Dr. Gerald Pollack of the University of Washington has identified a fourth phase of water, beyond solid, liquid, and gas, which he calls ease water, or exclusion zone water. This structured form of water forms naturally at interfaces, particularly at biological membranes, and behaves as a liquid crystalline battery, storing and releasing energy. It is the primary medium through which cellular communication occurs at the quantum level. And here is what the ancients knew. Water carries information. It holds the imprint of its environment. Every major spiritual tradition has its sacred waters, waters that were blessed, charged, transformed through intention and ceremony. This was not superstition. It was applied biophysics. The practical key, your hydration matters enormously, but not merely the quantity, the quality. Processed, fluoridated, heavily chemically treated water has a disrupted energetic structure. Spring water, naturally mineralized water, water that has been exposed to sunlight, water consumed with conscious gratitude, these are not equivalent to the flat, lifeless liquid coming from most municipal taps. Additionally, begin your morning with a large glass of pure room-temperature water before any other substance enters your body. This simple practice flushes the glymphatic residue accumulated during sleep, activates your digestive intelligence, and sends a signal of nourishment to your cellular field before the demands of the day begin. If you wish to go deeper, take a glass of water, hold it in both hands, close your eyes, and set an intention. A simple, clear, heartfelt intention for your own healing and vitality. Speak it into the water. Drink it consciously. This is not magic. This is applied biophysics, and it is very, very old knowledge. This is the sixth sacred key. Receive the waters of renewal. The philosopher's stone. The power of coherent intention. We arrive now at the seventh and most profound key, the one that the alchemists called the philosopher's stone, the one that unifies all the others. Coherent intention. Dr. Joe Dispenza, drawing on decades of neuroscience, quantum physics, and documented case studies of spontaneous healing, has articulated something of foundational importance. That healing, genuine, biological, measurable healing, occurs most reliably when a person achieves a state in which their thoughts, their emotions, and their physical body are all coherently aligned around a single vision of wholeness. Not wishing, not hoping, not positive thinking in its superficial form, but a state of such deep embodied clarity that the body's field recognizes the intended reality as already present. The quantum physics term for this is wave function collapse. Every possibility exists simultaneously as a wave of probability. Consciousness, specifically focused, emotionally coherent consciousness, collapses that wave into a specific outcome. This is not philosophy. This is the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, and it is the basis of modern quantum computing. The ancient alchemists encoded this understanding in the doctrine of the philosopher's stone. The stone was not a thing. It was a state of the practitioner, a state of such perfect inner integration that the practitioner's intention could directly influence the structure of matter. You carry the philosopher's stone within you. The practice of coherent intention works as follows. Once per day, in a state of deep inner stillness, ideally following your heart coherence practice, following your breath work, allow yourself to construct a vivid, sensory, emotionally real inner experience of your body in its state of full vitality and health. Not as something you wish for, as something that already is. Feel it in your muscles, feel it in your breath, feel the ease and the energy and the aliveness of a fully healed, fully awakened body. Hold that state for a minimum of 10 minutes without interruption. You are not daydreaming. You are collapsing the quantum probability field around your biology in the direction of coherence and wholeness. This is the highest practice of biological alchemy. This is the seventh sacred key. Embody the philosopher's stone, the ritual of cellular awakening. And now we practice. What I am about to offer you is an ancient alchemy of activation, a ritual drawn from hermetic, Taoist, and Vedic streams of healing practice, synthesized into a single, accessible, immediately applicable experience. You can do this right now, wherever you are. Sit comfortably with your spine upright and your hands resting gently on your thighs. If you wish, place one hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. On each exhale, release everything that does not belong to this moment. Release the day's concerns, release the noise, release the story. With each exhale, simply let go. Now bring your awareness to the center of your chest, to the heart space, and begin to breathe as though the breath itself is flowing in and out of the heart, not the lungs, but the heart. 5 counts in, 5 counts out. Gentle, slow, rhythmic. As you breathe in this way, call to mind something, anything, that fills you with genuine gratitude, a person, a moment, a beauty you have witnessed, a kindness you have received. Let that feeling arise. Do not force it. Simply invite it. Allow it to warm your chest. Allow it to expand. Hold this state. Now, from this place of warmth and openness, speak inwardly aloud or sing it aloud if you are alone. The following invocation. Speak it slowly with complete sincerity as an alchemist speaking directly to the living intelligence of the body. I call upon the ancient intelligence within every cell of my being. I acknowledge the wisdom of my body, the 10 trillion living cells that serve my life in every moment without ceasing. I release every belief that tells me my body is broken, insufficient, or beyond repair. I release every story of limitation that I have inherited and accepted as my own. I return now to the truth of what I am, a living field of light, of intelligence, of extraordinary regenerative power. My body knows how to heal. My body knows how to restore. My body knows how to renew. I am not a victim of time or circumstance. I am the alchemist of my own biology. And today I choose wholeness. Today I choose vitality. Today I choose to remember what I truly am. Sit in that space for a moment. Just breathe. Let the words settle into your body like seeds into soil. Now place both hands on your belly, the seat of what the ancient Chinese called the lower dantian, the primary storehouse of vital life force in the body. Breathe deeply into your belly. Feel it rise and fall beneath your hands. And with each inhale, imagine a warm, golden light gathering in this space. Bright, alive, coherent. The light of your own regenerative intelligence. With each exhale, allow that light to radiate outward through your entire body, into every organ, into every tissue, into every cell, into the very structure of your DNA. Feel it saturating your being. Hold this for 10 full breaths. Then, slowly, gently bring your awareness back to the room. Wiggle your fingers, take one final deep breath, and open your eyes. You have just performed biological alchemy. Not in some distant future, not under ideal conditions that may never arrive. Right here, right now, in this body, in this moment, the cells of your body have just received a different signal than the one they were receiving before you sat down. The field has shifted. Something has moved. Do this every day, and watch what begins to happen. Let me speak to you directly now as we close this transmission. What we have explored together today is not a theory. It is not entertainment. It is a map. An ancient, multi-tradition, scientifically grounded map of the extraordinary self-healing intelligence that lives within you, right now awaiting your conscious partnership. The 7 sacred keys are not complicated, but they require something rare in modern life: consistency, devotion, the willingness to show up for your own transformation day after day, even when the results are not yet visible to the naked eye. Because here is what the alchemists always knew: the great work is slow, it is patient. It happens in the hidden chambers of the organism, beneath the surface of what the ordinary eye can see, and then one day, one apparently ordinary day, you notice that something has changed, that the energy is different, that the pain that was chronic has diminished, that the vitality you thought belonged to a younger version of yourself has returned, that you are sleeping more deeply, thinking more clearly, feeling more alive than you have in years. And you will know that it was not magic, it was alchemy, the most ancient and most real science there is. You are not here by accident. You have been carried to this knowledge by something within you that was already awake, something that has always known that you are more than what the world told you to be. Honor that knowing, protect it, feed it, practice it. If what you encountered today resonated in your cells, not merely in your mind, but in your body and your bones, then you already know what to do. You already know that you are not done yet, that there is more to explore, more to remember, more to become. This work continues. And if you choose to walk this path further, this channel is a dedicated space for exactly this kind of deep, practical, uncompromising exploration of what the human being truly is and what it is truly capable of. The path of biological alchemy is not a weekend workshop. It is a life, and what a life it becomes. I will see you on the other side of the next transmission. Until then, remember what you are, and take good care of the extraordinary living temple you have been given to inhabit.